Hello, Rejoice family, and those beyond Rejoice who are watching with us as we continue our journey, kind of looking at a Lutheran view of what faith is like, what it looks like, using Luther's Small Catechism as a springboard for our discussions. So, over the last 4 weeks, we've gone through the Ten Commandments. Now we're going to start into the Creed. So, we're using the Apostles' Creed. That's one of the three ancient creeds that the Lutheran Church confesses, the other two being the Nicene and the Athanasian Creed. The Athanasian Creed's not used a whole lot. One, is very long and repetitive, but it's also just, it used to be used like on the Festival of the Trinity. You don't see it used very much anymore. Again, length is a big factor in that. The Nicene Creed you will see used occasionally. It's a little more formal. Its language is very specific. It comes out of a very specific time and place. But the Apostles' Creed is the one that we use most frequently. It is the one we use every time we do a baptism. It is also the one that we use most of the time at our traditional service. So the Creed's broken into three parts, basically three paragraphs. Doesn't mean each of these paragraphs are very long. So the first one is the shortest. So the first article of the Apostles' Creed basically says, "I believe in God the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth." So again, very short, and Luther's explanation of it. "I believe that God has created me together with all creatures. God has given me and still preserves my body and soul, eyes, ears, and all limbs and senses, reason and all mental faculties. In addition, God daily and abundantly provides shoes and clothing, food and drink, house and home, spouse and children, fields, livestock, and all property, along with all the necessities and nourishment for this body and life. God protects me against all danger and shields and preserves me from all evil. God does this out of pure, divine, and fatherly goodness and mercy, without any merit or worthiness of mine at all. For all this I owe it to God to thank and praise, serve and obey Him. This is most certainly true. Amen." Okay, so Amen's not there on the end. But, this taps into a very consistent view of God being the creator throughout both Judaism and Christianity, and this idea that the world itself is a gift. And in contrast to many other ancient religious systems, we believe that the world is fundamentally the world and the universe that we're a part of. The stars in the sky, the moon, the sun, the animals that are a part of the world, the water that waters the earth and flows through rivers, all of these things, and even the things that it seems like are creations of human work, whether it's relationships, spouse and children and family, whether it's government, whether it's the homes we live in or the work that we do, all of these are gifts of God. All of these are things that God continually puts in place so that we can have what we need for life and to have it abundantly. There is this optimistic view of God, and again, in contrast to most other ancient religious systems where either the world was out to get them or the gods had to be appeased, it's this belief that God provides. Whether we're worthy or not, God provides. It's regardless of our merit or worth. That God, in the abundant providing each and every day, God provides for the good and the evil. And that's just part of what God is and who God is. God is not a creator who just wound up the world and set it going. That's kind of the classical Enlightenment view of God, the 17th, 18th, early 19th, and even early 20th century view of this God who was kind of the clockmaker who wound up the world and set it running and then has been unengaged since. No, the God of the Bible is actively engaged, sees and hears and intervenes on behalf of those who are at work in the world. That's one of the reasons we believe prayer works, is that we believe that God listens, that God is engaged, and God is actively engaged in this world. And it is a stance of gratitude. We look at this world as grace, as a gift. We come and approach it, and each day we can approach each day. This is a day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in, as the Psalms can say. We can approach the things that are a part of our life as this is a gift that God has given for us to make this day a blessed day, a possible day, a day in which we can work through things. It doesn't mean that everything's easy. It just means that God has provided that which we need for this day. The other thing that I think is important to realize from this portion of Luther's Small Catechism is the fact that God has created me and all other creatures. That, I too am a creature of God. I am not God. It's very easy to be in the position, and again, the first sin that gets talked about in Genesis, for example, was that desire to be like God. I'm the one who's in control. I'm the one who makes everything go the way it's supposed to be. And there is, both within kind of the Lutheran perspective of faith, but within the Christian perspective and Jewish perspective of faith in general, this understanding that God is in control. And that while I may have some things that I do that are part of what God is at work in, that ultimately, I'm a small part of a stream that flows into the river that God is at work in. That God is the one who ultimately has the world in God's hands. And that, my work is a small part of the way in which God is doing things in the midst of the world. I am a caretaker of that which God has given to me. I am a co-worker among many other co-workers in this field that God has planted. And yet, the work itself is gift as well. You see, it all comes back to gratitude. For all of this, I owe it to God to thank and praise, serve and obey. It's not a sense of, okay, here are all the things I have to do to be right with God. And it's much more the sense of, here is the God who has given me so much. And now, in this freedom that God has given me, in this calling that God has given me, this is how and when I give thanks and praise, serve and obey. And with all the other creatures of God, we confess that this is most certainly true. We believe that God is the creator. We believe that we are creatures who have been given what we need by God, and yet we still have a part to play within this world that God has. So again, thank you for watching. I look forward to sharing with you next week as we talk about the God who we come to know in Jesus Christ, the God who redeems us.